Hi, and welcome to Serenity Now, a place for entrepreneurs to ask questions, learn, get connected, and be inspired. Join us as we talk about all things business and the search for the ever-elusive Serenity Now in both business and personal life.
Welcome to another episode of Serenity Now. Today is May the 4th, and when we were discussing what should we discuss for this podcast, we went through many ideas, and it occurred to us that Star Wars is a brilliant business model. And maybe there's some things that we could talk about that would apply to regular size business, because obviously it's a very large franchise business. And with me today, I've got Peggy.
Hello.
Who is confessed not a big fan as me, but that's okay. She still, knows about the franchise as most people do. But I still think we have lots to talk about today.
Okay, the first thing I want to ask, because it didn't even occur to me, that May the 4th was a fan day, but why May the 4th? What's the significance of that?
All right, so fans often say to each other, "May the 4th be with you," which is kind of a play on words of an iconic line.
Oh, may the force be with you. Oh,
Yes, may the force be with you. Yes.
Okay.
So May the 4th we be with you is Star Wars Day in our house. My husband is currently, as we speak, watching the movies.
Okay, I have to ask, where is he starting?
So, yes, I was going to say, this is a big, hotly contested thing with fans is, do you watch them in the order that they're released, or do you watch them in the order of the timeline of the story? So this year, my husband has decided that we're going to watch them in the timeline order.
Okay, well, I need to do that one time because it just messed me up. I watched the original trilogy, and then I went back and watched the other ones, and honestly, I didn't get it. So one day I will do that on a really wet, wintry day.
Not May the 4th. You're going to be golfing, right?
Also, you know what? Today is beautiful here. It's really lovely. So hopefully going to get into the garden later. But one of the things that we all know, the Star Wars franchise has had how many years? 40? How many?
Many, like early 70s.
Okay, so I got to do the math on that. That's like coming into the 50s, right? 50?
Well, I was born in the early 70s. So yeah, if it's not yet, it's going to be 50 soon.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. So what do we know about the Star Wars series? We obviously know there's a huge cult following, and we know that they have probably merchandised their product more than anyone. And what can we learn from that? Like, how does this marketing, how do we figure out how to follow the pattern as a small business? What does it take? Where do we start?
Well, I'm going to say that I think all the things that we're talking about in regards to Star Wars is obviously 10 times what we would normally expect as a business. But by exaggerating it, maybe we can granulate that down to some things that apply. So the biggest thing is they have a niche.
Okay, so when Star Wars came out, we were watching what? Gone with the Wind?
Gone with the Wind.
Okay,
yes,
so
yeah, that's
big
what I hear.
drama stories. And what did we get with Star Wars? What's the genre?
Entertainment, and I would say fantasy. So because it's based in outer space, it's a utopian future time. People are traveling around the universe.
And some special effects, which we hadn't seen a lot of.
Special effects, yes, and special effects.
Maybe not good ones, but they were there.
I think they were one of the first movies that did that visual graphics because the movie started out with the words.
Oh, yeah.
Going back into the screen. So
there's a lot of creativity there. But they found a niche. They found a niche in maybe younger people too, and sci-fi. So they carved out a niche, and then what?
And then since the time that they started, they have not stopped pivoting, to use a current word, and expanding their franchise. So, they changed the entertainment world by making a movie that was not in the current stream. They added special effects. And I don't know the order of things. I'm not that big of a fan, but then they also had started product marketing. So they changed the toy market.
But they were kind of a pioneer in that, weren't they? Bringing in all the toys to, I guess, supplement the revenues like mad. Changed the movie industry by adding the toy industry into it too.
And characters and costumes and...
Oh, yeah. Halloween, here we come. All right, so the other thing that, had to be good, and I'm going to admit that I Googled this while you were talking, Candace. I don't know anything about Star Wars success. I've watched the movies, but one of the things that they said was the foundation of the success was good storytelling. So it would be like any product. You can carve out a niche, but if you have a crappy product, it's not going to go anywhere. So apparently, according to Mr. Google, use Star Wars and teaching writing, film writing, because it has such a good storytelling. Now, I don't think I remember that when I watched the story, although we all know the lifeline of Luke and and Darth Vader and all that. So good storytelling is a foundation. So in any business, that would relate to having a sound product,
Product.
right?
Yeah.
So good storytelling was the product, niche was the market, right? And licensing the memorabilia was what? Was that a secondary income line?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I would think so.
Like it's a related ancillary product, right?
A related ancillary product. So I don't.
Which enhances the original product, I would say.
According to Mr. Google as well, they were the first to pioneer a summer blockbuster. The summer had been, up until then, considered to be a time when was dead in the movie release industry. They were generally released during the holiday season, but these guys decided to do something entirely different and release it as a summer blockbuster. And it might well be because they were appealing to a younger audience. And so they decided this, but it just shows, again, thinking outside the box, being creative and trying something different. And I also read that the first one that they did, they only made 100 prints of the film. Like it wasn't, and nobody applauded at the screening. So
Can you imagine what those original 100 prints are worth now?
yeah, so how interesting is that? So we all see the billions of dollars that they've made, but there always is a little story behind there. I did my homework. I also read that George Lucas had to use some of his own money when he ran out of money for that first screening, when he was basically just trying to, attract some investors. So there's some aspects of business that we all sort of run into, right? Nobody's going to push wheelbarrows of money towards you when you have an unknown product. And obviously you're doing everything different than everybody else.
Yeah, that's hard too, because everybody looks at you skeptically when you do things differently.
Yeah.
It's
So maybe you have to cut corners, dig in, use your own money. I'm not sure. But, most people who are daring enough to do all this, and most entrepreneurs are in that category, they're also passionate about what they're doing. And
yes.
hopefully they're not so passionate they spend their own money unwisely and get some good guidance along the way. But I think those things all go together. I think there has to be maybe a little risk taking, as much as we like to mitigate risk in our business, all of us. But we need to take a risk at times to achieve greatness.
You often hear about, if at first you don't succeed, try again. So, I mean, Mr. Roddenberry, he obviously believed in his product enough that even though nobody at the original screening applauded, he continued. I mean, thank God he did, because, I mean, it's a great movie series and all those things. But
it was so different. Can you imagine? It's like you have to educate your audience. Right? If the last thing that was a big blockbuster was Gone with the Wind, then now all of a sudden you have to educate your audience.
And I got mixed up. Gene Roddenberry is not the guy. It's
John Rupes, and you said Roddenberry, and I'm thinking she knows something I don't know. But guess what? I did my research.
Just confused this morning. I haven't had all my coffee. See, my cup's still here. Anyways, sorry. George Lucas obviously is the creator of Star Wars. Oh, what an idiot I am.
Oh, that's okay. You're the super fan. But it is Sunday morning and it is early. So just to recap, so having a good product, having a good story in the case of Star Wars, having a niche, hitting a market that's maybe not that well penetrated, understanding who your market is. And I think the market really paired with them going into the toy industry. Because if you're marketing to the 50, 60-year-old moviegoer, you're not going to really care too much about making toys. So they were obviously appealing to a younger audience. Then the memorabilia just went hand in hand. The toys, the clothes, all of that. So you've got a good product. You know who your market is, and in this case, your market will give you a second, maybe line of income. In this case, toys, and then you do something again different. You release it at a different time. How can we parallel that to our business?
Well, for me, it's the not sticking to the status quo, thinking of new ways of doing them and pursuing those new ways of doing them. Educating your clientele as to why and how, and sticking to it. I mean, if you absolutely know it's going to work, sticking to it until the how and the why becomes obvious to everybody else. Because often entrepreneurs, they see 10 steps down the road, and you're still trying to explain the first step and the eventuality of what's going to happen, and the people that are listening to are just looking at you like you're crazy. And then finally you get 4, 5, 6 steps down the road, and people are starting to see, oh, I get it now, right?
The other thing that these guys did was they really glommed on to this idea of trilogies, and they created a really longer lifeline for that story by putting them out in trilogies. So you knew number 2 was coming. So you knew number 3 was coming. And that apparently was unique to that industry as well. And what it did obviously was give them such a long lifespan, right? So people were expecting it. And I know that there's lots of things like magazines that what the success was on the regular frequency of publication, and in this case, it's not a subscription type of service, but in magazines, the idea that people would buy it every month because they knew it would come out every month. The same idea with the trilogy is have that expectation that, Star Wars 1, Star Wars 2, and I lose track after 3.
I think they're up to 12 now, I think. Plus side TV shows and all sorts of things. So
yeah. What an incredible run they've had, and what a good story for us to have a look into what was really the key aspects of their business and why it was successful. I think with most businesses, no matter what the size, you can learn something from this. The fun part of it is all the great Halloween costumes. That's what I'd take away from it.
Yeah, no, Halloween costumes. So that segues nicely into the reason those Halloween costumes are popular is because there's a fan base that's been built, and you can equate this to client loyalty. So I mean, if you have a quality product and they know there's more coming, they expect more, you provide the service, you create a loyal client. And this loyal client begets other loyal clients.
Right. So you're saying that, it's you tell 2 friends and they'll tell 2 friends kind of cult following type of thing.
But you have to start with the niche, and you have to start with the quality product.
A good story. Okay, well, I think we've expired our knowledge on Star Wars, at least mine, what I got from Mr. Google in the 5-minute search. But really interesting story, and really relatable if you look at it as a business model. I think, there's lots to be learned. Who knows, maybe think about your business in terms of a niche.
Yeah, absolutely. And I dropped the name Gene Roddenberry earlier, which I got confused because he's the creator of another series, which probably has a very similar cult following. As a matter of fact, I'm a fan of both series, which is the Star Wars or the Star Trek series.
Oh, yes, the Trekkies.
Yeah, so similar thing. Niche. They started with TD series, though, so they didn't do movies. I don't know if they borrowed from each other.
They were quite early in the game, though, weren't they? Pre Star Wars.
Yeah, pre-Star Wars, but it was TV shows, not movies. Movies came later.
Interesting.
But yes, same idea. Niche, loyal following, quality product.
There you have it. Okay, well, Candace, you and I, we can probably parallel this to many other products or movies, especially out there, right? And the ones that endure have these have these qualities. And I think in business, it's very much the same. Like, you've got to have a good product. You've got to find a niche. You might have to dig in your own pockets to start your own marketing or to get it out there. And you've got to obviously be passionate, and thinking a little bit outside the box is not a bad thing, right?
Don't be afraid to do things differently, but do them smartly. Like, don't chase every harebrained idea, but definitely brainstorm.
There's a point. So how do you know it's harebrained or it's just creative and thinking outside the box? And I think there probably are some tests for that. And they would literally be small trials. Take it easy. Don't jump in. Don't put your whole business future in one hugely different creative idea. Test things a little bit, see what the reaction is, and then come back and rethink it and take another step into that thought process before you run down a path that isn't tread before. Educating your client about products is a very challenging part of business. If people know they want it, it's easy for them to find a product that they want. But if they have to learn that they want it, you need to plan into your business model that you've got to spend extra money on the education side of it. And what that means, it might be, some upfront costs that you didn't anticipate, because your clients need to understand that they need the product, they need the service. I experienced that myself, because when I started in Shred, it was very unknown. And when you tell people you can get them back some money from the government, well, these days they wouldn't listen to you, I think, because they would think it's a scam. But way back when you're sitting in front of people face to face, they actually believed it. But at the same time, we had to spend quite a bit of time convincing people that what we were saying was sound, and what was out there was a program, and they knew nothing about it. We had to educate our clients. So we had to spend a little more upfront time to help our clients understand that they needed our service. And unlike accounting, Candace, where you can be assured your clients need your service.
I disagree, actually, because our firm, we've been working on a different way of providing accounting services for the last couple of years. And so we're switching to an all-inclusive model. Like, we are your person. We help you with not just the accounting and tax needs, but do you have a will? Do you have a plan for when you die so that somebody knows what to do with the will? Do you have a financial planner? Or is he helping you make the most of your investments? Do you have a lawyer to get the will? All those things, that there's so many things that affect your financial well-being.
You're bundling.
They need to be integrated,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not going to provide the law services. I'm not going to provide the financial, what should you invest in, but I'm going to make sure that these things happen for you.
Good thinking. I often think that we're too segmented in a lot of our professional services.
So we're trying to make that an integrated thing.
Oh, that's interesting. There are a lot of professional services that are very segmented, and one of them is our medical system. Right? You go to the specialist for this, and a specialist for this, and a specialist for this, but there isn't anyone really able to do the holistic, over the top view down, make sure all the parts work together kind of thing. So that's interesting that you're doing that, Candace, because that's something that really makes a lot of sense. But again, you guys are having to spend some upfront time and money to find yourself a niche with a good product, right?
Yep. It's been a lot of time, a lot of effort, some cost for sure. But in the vein of Star Wars, we're being brave and doing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So hopefully
You are. Excellent. Well, I'm glad you shared that with us, because that is a very good real life story to parallel to what we've been talking about. And that is, spend a bit of time, spend a little bit of money, find your niche, step out of the box, do something a little differently. But at the foundation of it all, the foundation of it all is that good product. So, and you have a good product, or you wouldn't be putting your time, money, and family resources into doing it. So anyhow, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Have a little Well, there's just the two of us. It's a very,
We can have a
very small quick fire. What did you take away from today?
My top thought is, you know what? I really like the try to do things differently. Think, like, I feel like the biggest winners in life have been like things, products, people that do things just a little bit differently that change the way we do things. And that I've always been a big fan of that.
So we're looking for you risk takers out there. I agree with you. A little bit of risk, thinking it out first. Don't like give away the farm to try it, but do something, test it, see if it works. Find a niche, good product. I think you're going to roll because passionate entrepreneurs are the ones who make things go, make things change. Who are the ones that take the risks that some of us don't want to take, right?
All right. That has been our episode for May the 4th. Hopefully this episode has brought you a little serenity, and may the 4th be with you.
Thanks, Candace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and picked up some good tips and best practices that would benefit your entrepreneurial journey. Remember, none of the content in this podcast should be relied upon as standard legal or business advice. Always consult a professional for your specific business. You may know someone who could benefit from this podcast. Please share it with your business community, and perhaps it can give an entrepreneur you know some serenity now.